The most electrifying man in all of entertainment finally makes his debut into the DC Extended Universe. We could be talking about no other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That means that we are getting ready to jump into my review of the new film, Black Adam. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the film Black Adam, which is going to be making its way to theaters October 21st. So finally got my chance to check it out. And I didn't get to see it in that first wave. Obviously Mexico had its world premiere before the American premieres, which was in New York, which the New York folks just completely spoiled it. So there's tons of I've seen it videos, and this isn't a review yet. It is a review. Everybody done spoiled everything. And then London had their premiere, but then finally my city was able to have ours. But you know, I avoided most of it, but like I couldn't help but to be really drawn to all of the promotional work that they've been doing and the press work they've been doing, and The Rock spoiling things, and it's just a lot going on with this film. But my first excitement was San Diego Comic-Con, and you know, with Shazam being there and Black Adam being there, and just an amazing weekend in general. You know, this was one of the biggest panels to really kick things off. So, you know, The Rock made his entrance in Hall H, which was just fantastic. So, you know, it's been a long road. Whether you've been there entire time when there was rumors that he had been, well, it wasn't a rumor, it was a rumor, and then it was announced that, well, The Rock would be joining as Black Adam in the Shazam film, and then it was like, well, The Rock is a big draw. I mean, that's Mr. Forbes. Thus, he gets his own film now. So, you know, ever since then, back in 2014, all the way to this point, it's been a long road. And The Rock has spoke so much about how much this character has meant to him. This has been a dream. And now he's even calling this phase 1 of the DC Extended Universe. So, here we go. But yeah, now getting a chance to watch, I gotta say, I'm a little underwhelmed. My first thing I'm going to say is, and this may not be something you can use in terms of how you're going to go into the theaters, but the theater I've seen it in, and it's not my choice because it's how the screeners are done, underwhelming. The sound was just not good. I feel like this film, visual wise and sound wise, should have been a lot more exciting than what I got. I felt it was completely lackluster. I honestly was just underwhelmed by the sound itself. Was just like, oh, there's an explosion, and then it sounded all faint. You know, I'm used to those big sound and feelings and experience when you're seeing these films, and God knows they spent a lot of money on this film, and the sound just wasn't there, and that was a huge letdown for me. And I think that is not overall what you can expect for seeing the film, but it certainly was my experience that the sound just was just kind of. Anywho, the first 30 minutes of the film was what was really going to make the impression for me for the overall duration of the film. I mean, the film was about an hour and 20 something minutes. So the first 30 minutes I had seen at San Diego. Not all of the 30 minutes, but majority of the 30 minutes in terms of the action. You know, when we first get our first appearance of Black Adam, I seen it at San Diego. So seeing it again now, I'm just kind of was underwhelmed. And again, San Diego, it was amazing. So that, I think, definitely is the discrepancy of the theater I saw it in. But yeah, San Diego, I was like, oh, this looks amazing. You know, felt good, sound good, visually looked good, everything. So, you know, my first thing to tell you is that if you're going to see this, see it in the best theater and the best screen that you can. Don't be cheap, because you will be cheated out of the 30 minutes of this film. That is impressive, but it's underwhelming if you don't see it in the right format. But overall, I thought, because the first phase of this film, the first act, really focused on the origin story, and I had a little bit of an issue with it, because we know that Black Adam and Shazam, we know that's going to be a thing at some point. We know the tone of Shazam, but correct me if I'm wrong, but going into Black Adam, I felt like this was going to be much more dark, much more gritty, much more serious. And there was comedy that didn't land for me. There was moments for like comedic reliefs where I don't think they were necessary. I mean, there's a particular scene where I'm just like, hey, hit the emergency button, the panic button. It's time to get out of Dodge, and people are just being real casual about things. And I didn't like that, because when the stakes were at its highest, I felt like the reactions should have been more dire than the idea of saying, oh, let's just throw in the joke right there, and I also think that if you if you're not familiar with the comics, I think you're going to have issues with the story that they're telling. I mean, again, when you think about Shazam, you're like, oh, this guy's funny. When he got his powers, it took him a long time to figure it out. And then you got this guy, Black Adam, who comes in and, we learned about how he got his powers, and then ultimately his one and only fight. And then all of a sudden he comes back, 50,000 years of imprisonment later. And now he's just, he got it all figured out. And you're thinking like, huh? So he just learns it, but the other guy didn't. So, it's just stuff like that, if you think too hard, it may be problematic for you. So the toning was a little bit of an issue. The introduction of this character was a little bit of an issue to me. And I think that without knowing the lore, the comics, you're gonna kind of be disengaged pretty early. That's what I think. But there was a lot of saving graces here. First of all, any scene that The Rock is on, it's good. His scenes, the protection of his scenes, everything looks very, very, very well. When without Black Adam on the scene, those were the scenes I was just kind of like, please get back to the action. Aldis Hodge as Hawkman was absolutely fantastic. Aldis Hodge, period. Even as just Carter Hall before, he's in full battle armor, was some of the best moments of this film. Aldis really killed it with his banter, his one-liners. I mean, even the comedy that he did landed because it felt more serious. It felt more appropriate, And then you had my guy Noah Centineo, who plays Atom Smasher. I've been watching Noah since his days of, I'm not even going to tell you all, but I've been watching Noah for a long time, and hearing that Noah was casted as Atom Smasher, I couldn't be more happier to see this young man really step into these really, really big roles, and he's a star. And I gotta say, seeing how he portrays his character is interesting. It is very immature, as I'll label it as, and I don't know, man. He just came a long way since the Fosters. That's all I'm gonna say. So, but I did enjoy his character, alongside of Contessa Swindell, who plays Cyclone, which her costume design, everything about Cyclone in this was fascinating to me. Seeing her and her powers, seeing how respected she was amongst the others, seeing Atom Smasher chase her around the entire time, which I was kind of like, are they really going to try to throw this little love angle in there? Which was just completely just unneeded, unnecessary, was not into it. But I did enjoy their scenes together. It just was just like, do we have to have them as love interests, or could we just let them just be the newest members of the Justice Society of America here? Because that's essentially what's happening here, is that once Black Adam is back, Justice Society of America is like, hey, we got to get out there. We got to stop this guy, because the more and more times and the more reps that he gets, the more problematic it is for the world. Because yes, he comes back as the champion for Condif, and everybody's cheering him because now they say, oh, if he's back, then hey, we're on a one-way road down liberation. And so that kind of makes him a hero. But essentially, because everybody really knows about his past and really knows about his potential, that makes him a threat. And Amanda Wilder says, hey, Justice Society of America, talking to Hawkman, say, hey, go handle that. And that's essentially what's happening here, is that you got this guy that's kind of a hero, anti-hero, who has a very traumatizing past, who now is awakened after all these years, trying to figure out his role in the world. What's next for him? Is he still the champion? Is he the hero? What does that look like? And obviously dealing with everything that he had been through before he got to this point. So, I love Contessa, love Noah, and Aldis and Dwayne. But folks, I gotta say, Pierce Brosnan, who plays Dr. Fate, easily my favorite. Dr. Fate is one of my favorite characters in all of superheroes. All the entire superhero genre. Don't care where it's at. Dr. Fate is one of my favorite. And like I said, Pierce killed it anytime Dr. Fate was on the scene, the visuals, just the spectacle of this character and the magic and the voice work. Oh my God, it was so good. Easily, that's literally the reason I will watch this film again. It's strictly for Dr. Fate. And it may be a little bit biased, but I gotta say, Dr. Fate and how they portray Dr. Fate, for the folks who love Doctor Strange and how they kind of do the different realms and the mirror realm and all that other stuff. I think that like the way how they use Dr. Fate, I think looks 10, 20 times better, but I could be biased. But I, you know, a couple of things I didn't like. I didn't like the soundtrack. I felt like the music that they used in certain scenes, I would have obviously went better. I didn't like the score either. And, you know, sure, we want Hans Zimmer all the time attached to DC products, but if you're not going to have Hans Zimmer, then please let it be somebody that can really fill in those shoes. I did not feel any bit of the score felt very cinematic, very epic, very that heroicism sort of feel, you know, like that feel good, pump you up type of music. There was some scene, but not a lot. But I mean, I mean, we come from, when you talking about the DC Cinematic Universe, Hans Zimmer score can carry the film itself, and that's definitely was not the impression on this one. So, but other than that, I think that, you know, the film in the beginning was kind of a bore a little bit to me. Probably better if I had seen it on a better screen, but I had already seen it, so maybe the second act definitely was just. But the third act I thought came back very strong. Dr. Fate really was the MVP of that. There was some cliche dialogue. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work. I mean, to be honest, if you heard a bit of dialogue in one part of the film, you're probably going to hear it again, because that's what everybody was doing, serving up receipts. If somebody say something, somebody's tit for tatting it, coming back later in the film, repeating that back to somebody. So there was a lot of that kind of going on as well too. And you know, overall, the last thing I'm going to say is a mom, Tomas, who is Adriana's son. Adriana is the one who basically awakens Black Adam. By looking for something else, she awakens him. And then you have Amon, who is this very young and curious son of hers, who is like, oh my God, you're a superhero. He's completely in love with all the superheroes, Batman, Superman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, all of them. His whole room is decked out much like myself. And he's so fascinated about Black Adam. He's like, oh my God, you can be like on magazines and lunchboxes, all this other stuff. And meanwhile, Black Adam's trying to figure out his relevance in this new society that he's in. But this dude, Amon, happens to be the most annoying character I have ever seen in any film. I hate to say this, but like, I'm like, this dude had basically avoided death so many times that I was getting frustrated. Because I was like, listen, one of these got to catch up to him. Because for everything that this guy basically did and provoked is the reason why we're in all this mess right now. Like, it's a very annoying character. Like, straight up. I was so frustrated with this character that I was just like, ugh. I'm sure you're going to feel the same. But anyway, last thing I'll say is that there's cameos. There's obviously nods to the comics. There's some Easter eggs. And then there is a mid-credit scene that, well, everybody either already know about or everybody's either expecting and everybody's been wanting. So definitely stay tuned for that. Definitely not going to spoil that. I don't even have to even hint, because you all kind of already got a sense of what's happening with that. But as I said, Dwayne The Rock Johnson said this is sort of phase one. So, you know, we're going to have more of things to come. It's, you know, sort of using the Marvel MCU moniker of phases. So we'll see what happens. But I was digging it. There were some good moments. There were some boring moments. But overall, I'm like I may buy this on DVD because I think visually is worth maybe the ticket or the purchase of the DVD or the Blu-ray alone. But I can't stress enough, go see it in the biggest, best format that you can, because if not, that first act is going to be a snooze fest. Like, it just did not land, and there's a lot of action happening, but it just didn't leave an impact. I didn't feel no spine chill, no chills, no anything. I sort of laughed at like how silly some moments were. That kind of kept me interested, because I was like, oh, I know another silly moment's going to be coming soon, until we finally got into the groove of things by the third act, which for some people that's way too long to be finally kicking into gear. But you know, whether one of these characters are your favorite characters like myself, was waiting for Dr. Fate to do something, you know, just check it out and see how you feel about it. You know, just give it a go. It definitely has a different feel from what we've seen from previous DC Extended Universe movies. So maybe this is the way of the path forward, and maybe we get a lot more, but it still needs a little bit more polishing up for me. So didn't love it, didn't hate it, just in the middle for me, in the middle. So hey, check out Black Adam again in theaters October 21st, folks. Jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts about this, and as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.